All right, we're almost through day one of Imagine AI Live conference, and we have a special guest. Could you please introduce yourself and tell us what you're working on?
Ken Patterson, founder of EdNovate, and so we are really an AI augmenting company. When I say AI augmenting, we augment ed leaders. So it's a company that really is focused on really moving AI in education forward, but starting with superintendents and principals and those sorts of leaders, which is the opposite of kind of how education starts new things, right? Usually they kind of toss it in the classroom and then we kind of figure it out upwards, backwards, so to speak. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to really get principals and superintendents and those likes to really pay attention to this, because it's a little bit different than the last program you had in your district last year. So that's what we do. So.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm very glad you signed up for a podcast. I'm a former teacher myself.
Okay.
I was English as a second language teacher for about 10 years.
Okay.
And I think that the capability of AI to transform education and lift everybody up is tremendous, and that's what I'm most excited about, actually.
Yeah, I'm excited about it too, because it gives you a chance. I think for the first time in human history, we're going to have one-to-one instruction for kids, right? We'll be able to do that. We've never been able to do that. So every kid is going to get exactly what they need, and they're going to be able to move forward. And so what we want to do really at EdNovate is to facilitate that. We don't want that to be derailed by maybe a bad rollout of AI, for example, or a misunderstanding of AI in school districts to where everything gets halted and then you've got all these things that have to happen. We want it to be smooth. And so we really do believe that you've got to start at the top. So I'm trying to shake the ears of district leaders, like, no, you can't just leave this in the classroom. You've got to know about it. You've got to be the expert almost in your district, because you're going to have to lead it. If you don't lead it, the teachers are going to do what they want to do with it, and so are the kids. So
Definitely, Ken. And do you have a background in education?
Yeah, so it's funny. I'm a principal. I'm actually a principal currently. Barely. I tell people barely. I really love my job, and I'm honored to have the opportunity, right? And I was a principal that succeeded. That's really how EdNovate started. Last year was my first year as principal, and 4 weeks before school started, I had 18 empty classrooms out of 30 classrooms at an elementary school. In a teacher shortage, and I'm not sure if you've been aware, but you can't find teachers, right? So I ended up hiring, we grabbed 18 people, right? 18 great teachers, great people. You just had to have a degree in something, and so we took advantage of the conditional certification. And if they're like, Ken, it's your first year, you've got 18 non-tenured, non-certified teachers, just kind of get through the year.
Yeah, the bar is not super high at that point.
And I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So ChatGPT comes out November of that year.
Yeah.
I use it and I realized, man, this thing is incredible. And then so every day we were working with the teachers, giving them new data pieces, and we were just kind of using it as a leadership team, just kind of how can we help teachers, how can we guide them? And then this year the state report card came out for Maryland, and we were the second highest growth in the school district, 124 schools, and 39th out of 1,400 schools in the state of Maryland. So I said, this AI stuff is pretty cool. So then I started sharing it with friends, and I realized there's a lot of hesitation and resistance, particularly in education, which kind of was frustrating for me, honestly, but I took that and ran with it, spoke at a couple of conferences, and then the EdNovate was born. And it became really a passion of mine to say, I got to help people. We got to get on this.
EdNovate.
EdNovate,
yes.
EdNovate.ai.
Great. So you're currently a principal, and you're
currently barely a principal.
currently barely a principal, and currently the CEO and founder of this.
Of EdNovate, yeah.
EdNovate.
I don't think I'm going to last longer in the role of principal. It doesn't mean a bad thing. It's just, I'm very grateful for the opportunity. But sometimes passion just grabs you, right?
Yeah.
And
when you can help out, you helped out one school immensely, and if you can take that to 1,000 schools,
Exactly. And it's not just the kids that I serve. I want to be able to do more for more. And this is the type of thing, if people can just get on it and get with it, education will change quickly. And before it changes to one-to-one, we at least got to have a right knowledge and a right application of AI currently. And I think that's what EdNovate wants to push. Because in doing that, we're going to give more opportunities for our kids. I don't want our kids not to get AI because the rollout got messed up, or somebody got a bad idea, or somebody just ignored it altogether. We really want it to be healthy. So we want the leaders and those who are in district leadership to really kind of take on to this.
Definitely. So Maryland, where in Maryland was your school?
So my school is Seven Oaks Elementary School. It's in Anne Arundel County, Maryland, Anne Arundel County Public Schools. Superintendent is Dr. Mark Bedell. The coolest superintendent in the world. He's won a bunch of awards. He just got celebrated recently, as a matter of fact. And really have to attribute a lot to him. He is a forward-thinking, innovative superintendent. As a matter of fact, one of his first speeches to principals once he got the job recently was you're almost going to get in trouble for not innovating, right? And so
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been able to play with AI if I were in another district. So I do owe a lot of that to him and to his innovative mindset. But I enjoy like pushing the envelope and being that guy. So I'm the weird like AI guy in our district. I'm the weird guy like. They had an AI question called Ken, so that's me.
Every
so far.
district needs somebody like that.
I don't mind being it. Like at first I was like, why aren't people listening to me? But now it's like, you know what? I'm okay. I'll be the guy. Eventually, I'm the guy they'll come out to when they need a hand or
And
need
so
a
is it
to.
a public school system, right?
The public school. Yep, it's a K-12 public school.
That's
system.
honestly where this innovation needs to happen, because I think it's going to be the laggard. I think it's going to be the one that's going to be slowest to change, and it's where the most help is needed, to be frank.
They're not moving, man. And if I can just be serious for a moment, man, I am terrified at the pace in which school districts are moving. The superintendent's report, I just said recently, the superintendent's report just came out where they did the survey, this national survey for superintendents, and they listed their problems, like 1 through 10, right? The issues or the challenges facing them in their jobs. And all the way down the list, at number 10 was AI, like, it's a priority, the superintendent's priorities, right?
Yeah.
10 was AI.
Wow.
1 was like, absenteeism, curriculum, whatever. And I thought to myself, if that's not a microcosm of the misunderstanding of what AI actually is, then I don't know what else is. Because if they knew exactly what AI was, if they really understood its application, then it would have solved numbers 1 through 9. You wouldn't have it as a thing.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that kind of highlights just how slow it's moving in education. And then the other issue is that when it starts moving, it's going to move so fast. I'm not sure that people are going to be able to keep up. So I'm almost on a mission to like just scream at people, please listen. Please let us help. Let EdNovate help you. Let us kind of walk alongside you, train you, whatever you got to do.
Well, so let's dig into that. Like, how specifically do you help the teachers? So you're trying to get the superintendents and the principals to sign on to this. What are they doing to use AI tools to help the school? What's the top thing that you did?
So at the very minimum, so teachers are fine, right? So like teachers are going to figure it out. They're going to. Teachers are very resourceful, right? They know. Somebody says use teachers pay teachers, for example, and that just blew up, whatever.
Right.
So the teachers are fine. The kids are going to be fine. The education administrators, I want them to see a couple things. One, they did a study recently. It was actually quoted in here. That Harvard study with the 40% increase in quality of work and 20% in time or something like that. I want my administrators, my district level leaders to know that this thing can not only be a partner with you to help you solve problems like 90% faster, but it allows you to be who you are and the gift that you are for the people you serve.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we're all bogged down with the day-to-day stuff, the emails, of this and of that, and there's really no added value that you have in your own district other than the couple of minutes you have in between meetings, for example, or whatever. But if you use AI and you really use it as a partner, that's why we call it AI augmented ed leadership.
Yeah.
If I can augment you as an ed leader, then what we're doing is we're pulling the best out of who you are, and your district is getting a better version of you.
Yeah.
Without that, they're not
streamlining
getting it.
the things that I'm not. It's just something could be automated. Something responding to things, correcting. I mean, there's just simple things like correcting homework and correcting tests. Already there's some progress on like bubble form, but it can be more better than that, where it save teachers hours a week on correcting things.
Correcting, or for administrators, I just joke and tell people I haven't written an email since November of 2022. That's when ChatGPT came out. So I don't even write emails. I have it analyze what the email was. I respond to it. I have ChatGPT draft the response. Of course, there's some edits here that got to do, but I don't write emails. I don't write newsletters as a principal. I don't do any of that stuff. A lot of that stuff is automated. A lot of that stuff can be done in seconds. And then it frees my brain up. It's not just the work bandwidth, it's the emotional bandwidth with all that stuff that has to happen, right? Like you get an email from a parent and you're wrecked for the day, right? You're like, what? They don't understand my job. I don't have to worry about that with ChatGPT, right? I can just get the machine to write it and keep it moving, and that's what I want these district leaders to get. Get that first. Then when you're comfortable with it and you know it's not going to come take your job or your life or whatever we think, then we can start to implement it and use it to better our district and move our district forward.
Do you get pushback from parents on?
Yeah, so that's funny. So when we first started, it was like, don't tell parents that we're using AI in the building. Parents are just like anybody else, right? I don't think that they fully understand it. They know AI exists, but traditionally schools have been who were supposed to guide kids on technology. The problem in this thing, in this age of AI, is that schools are not fully prepared to guide kids with technology for the first time in history of technology. And I think there are some parents that see that. Some parents are a little concerned. I think Florida just came out with a law recently where kids can't be on generative AI in a certain age. I forgot what state that was. I believe it was Florida, probably Florida.
Yeah.
So parents are now like waiting for other people to kind of help them regulate their kids on the phones with this AI. But as far as the school system is concerned, parents are like, what are you doing with the AI with my kid? Like, is it going to replace the teacher in front of my kid? Like, how accurate is it with this? So a lot of it is also encouraging parents to see it as something that's useful. What I've tried to do recently is try to get parents to just use it for themselves for fun. Like, go to ChatGPT for free and like just get a grocery list together or get a recipe for something so they can kind of warm up to it and then see the benefits.
Yeah, I mean, I think parents that use AI to raise their kids are gonna help their kids more than parents that aren't using it. I mean,
And some of my parents do use it. Like they send emails. I laugh because the ChatGPT always says, "I hope this email finds you well," right?
Yeah.
So like some emails I get from parents are like, "I hope this email finds you well." I'm like, "Yeah, they use ChatGPT." Like, yeah, like I know they're upset about something. You're gonna have to work this concern out, but afterwards I'm gonna pound them up like, "Good job using ChatGPT. Like maybe we can work together," you know. So I think if they get it, I think the parents that are getting it and seeing AI as not something that's going to scare the kids or something that's, if they see it as something that is really reachable, I think that we can kind of get them on board with it. Believe it or not, I think that they're kind of closer to accepting it than even some in education, right?
Yeah.
So that's where my effort is again, really getting to those district leaders and stuff.
And your company's main mission is to get the attention of principal school districts and then you're working with them as like in a consulting sense?
So we've got different products, right? So we've got 2-hour trainings. We got some asynchronous trainings. The goal is really do some semesterized consultancy or some retainer. We also help districts kind of shift into AI, like how do they do their AI policies, right? The lack of understanding of AI, it shows itself in like use policies, for example, or it may show itself when I'll talk to a superintendent who's like, yes, great job with your AI stuff, with EdNovate, but we're going to go ahead and let our IT department handle the AI training for the district, right? And I'm like, no. Two things: if your IT department could do it, they would already be doing it. Two, if they really could do it, they wouldn't be doing it for you because it's just too lucrative at this point, right, to be doing that. And so, and superintendents are just so used to just kind of pointing their fingers at people doing things, but this is not that, right? And so we do a lot of like training, a lot of consulting, a lot of walking alongside, and then setting them up for success as far as certain things that they have. The bigger thing we do is projects to show them how AI actually solves problems in the districts. There may be a school district that says we're, with ESSER funds leaving, we're short $50 million. We're going to have to fire, 300, 400 teachers. Not really, right? If you let us, EdNovate, come in and have a little bit of a consultation with you, look at your system, do optimization, right? Just kind of like look at your systems, look at your structures, look what's going on. We may be able to find that $50 million for you using some of these technologies, right? Using some of these things to kind of clean up your processes. Also want to show them kind of, as a product, show them what AI can do for the district.
Right.
Logistically, operationally.
Yeah.
It's much more than like kids with VR glasses, sword fighting with imaginary swords, you know what I mean?
Well, that's another interesting thing is just like the screen use. And I feel that there, a lot of, like in St. Paul, Minnesota, where I'm from, the St. Paul Public Schools like implemented iPads for everyone, and all the teachers had to take all this time to learn the different software and everything. And then, the kids are using iPads all the time.
Yeah.
And I think there's been studies recently that have shown that that's actually detrimental. It's been detrimental to them. And, just quickening them to this low attention span that we all, suffer from or, is a byproduct of the world we live in.
Yeah.
And I wonder your thoughts on that.
I fear a little bit because our eyes are not built. Apple found that out when they launched those glasses, right? Apple launched them and everybody returned them like 30 days later.
The Vision Pro, yeah.
I know AI is moving fast, but our brains are not wired for that much stimulation and that much confusion in the brain. And so it's not going to go well, right? And so what we're trying to do, that's part of what we do at EdNovate, is really helping people. It's not the toys and stuff, right? That's what these district leaders are getting sold. If you go to a superintendent's conference, I'm not naming any companies, but everybody's throwing like the toys and the things and the VR, virtual reality stuff and the augmented reality in front of the kids. But there is something to be said for the paper and the pencil, right? There is something to be said for pulling back on that attention span because what's going to end up happening, and I don't want to like scare anybody, but you're building kids who are taught to be entertained every moment of the day on a screen, and then they graduate high school And then they have to go into the real world where we're not entertained on a screen all day. Maybe we're part of our phones. And then you have all these social emotional issues that are taking place. I think there's going to be a crisis as a result. So part of the AI thing is being responsible and being really understanding where the neurological stuff is, so kids are not like struggling when they graduate, in their adult life with depression and all those sorts of things. So
I think there will be a big upgrade when it's more of like a spoken, you can speak to the AI and the AI speaks back to you, and you're not reliant on text on a screen.
Yeah. Some of the companies here, I like doing the video. Like I like that. That's a little bit better. But getting kids locked in
it's hard. I mean, it's hard just because we've turned into such a screen society, and like me as an adult in my profession, I'm using screens 8 to 10 hours a day. A lot.
Yeah,
and
it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, and you got to try to keep them away from the screens as long as you can. 14, 15 years old or something. But
the funny thing is, like the Steve Jobs of the world, like their kids never used the products that he put out. Like you research, see, his kids never had iPads. They never did that because he knew. He knew that that's not what was the best, but that's what sold. Now I think that's what is happening with AI in school systems. We know that the VR stuff is not the best, but we know that it's easy to sell. And so EdNovate is kind of countercultural in that regard, and that we want to kind of slow that down and say, listen, before we start just going in this flood of having kids doing all this weird stuff with screens and things like that, let's really reestablish and reconfigure ourselves into what education is, what we want kids to learn, how we want them to learn it, and then really try to get them to understand that without like being distracted as a system with all these AI tools that are going to start coming out.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Ken, this has been a very fascinating conversation. I'd love to have you for an extended full version
Absolutely.
via Zoom in the future here.
Absolutely.
Because this is it's a passion area for me as a former teacher, and I do think that this is, will have the most profound effect is AI in education and hopefully
education and healthcare. Those are the two number one.
And healthcare.
So
and
we've got to get it right.
That's part of, two of the biggest problems that America faces, to be frank, is the exploding cost of healthcare and lacking education in a lot of areas. So, and that's the potential of AI, and that's what's so amazing about a conference like this, that we are covering those topics, as well as the business side of things and the personal development side of things as well.
And I'm excited. It's been a pleasure. I absolutely I love to keep talking and have a deeper conversation about it, because it's important. It is so critical, and it's good to know that you were an educator, so you kind of get it. Like I feel like I've been kind of like talking to people who don't always understand its application.
It's a different and when you dedicate yourself to being an educator, you're almost giving up that like some of these more lucrative sides. We need the educators, and you can never talk bad about it because they're so instrumental to our society.
They go through so much. They really do. Like, we need them, but we've got to, hopefully with this new era, right? This new technology, we'll be able to, if not show them better appreciation openly, hopefully by giving them the tools. It's appreciation by the time they get back, the time they get with their families, right? The time they get just kind of being themselves, and then maybe allowing them to space out and be creative in other ways, right?
Ken, have you been on TikTok yet?
Kind of. I gotta redo it a little differently.
Well, I would love to I'm gonna get some of these your greatest hits from this here up on TikTok, and hopefully some superintendents will see it, and then come on again, and we'll get some more greatest hits.
We all need. Like, I appreciate it, man. I really need your advocacy, man. Like, I really appreciate it.
Well,
I do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.